I've always been a farmer, but for some reason I loved speed. Never very good with horses. A car, my thing. I had a little pedal car when I was about 3, and I could race into the house, round the table, and back out again. And I found I went too fast, it would tip, so that was a good start. I used to go and watch motor racing at Charterhall, and Silverstone, Brands Hatch, once at Monte Carlo, and I just loved speed and fast cars. I had a Volkswagen Beetle, which I think it could ride a bicycle faster, but it was something. And I had friends who used to race. One had an Aston Martin, Reggie Fordington, and Bill Thompson had an Austin Healey. And I would have loved to race, but they started the Border Motor Racing Club. So there was a lot of amateurs, and I think there was about 25 of us turned up a little circuit called Brunton, near Sea Houses. And I went up with a twin carb Volkswagen, and there was Austin Healey's, MG's, Triumphs, etc., etc. But one lad had a Sunbeam Rapier, and I had my Volkswagen Beetle. And because we were all amateurs, they set us off at 10-second intervals. It wasn't really a race, 10 seconds went around. And after I got a little bit ahead, I looked in the mirror and here was this Sunbeam Rapier coming like a bat out of hell. And there was a very compound left-hander with a concrete pillbox on his hand side. And I thought, when I get around this, I'll let him past. But he overtook me on the outside, scraped past the pillbox and disappeared. And I thought, my God, what a driver. Well, it turned out it was Jim Clark, who was probably the greatest natural driver ever in the world. He won the World Championship, he won Indianapolis, and he was a border farmer just over the border. And he was a tremendous driver. I think he won 25 Grand Prix until he was killed. It was very, very dangerous in those days. If you crashed, you were dead. And he was just a tremendous driver. Now, his near neighbour, another farmer, was a guy called Andrew Cowan, who raced a Sunbeam Rapier when I had a Riley 1.5, and we had a lot of battles. We were very good friends, but there was no quarter given. And Andrew took up rallying. And in the 70s, they had a London-Sydney marathon. And he entered that and won, London to Sydney. And he won it twice. And we're still very good mates. Went up and had coffee with them just about a month ago. So that was Andrew. And then, after I got the TVR, it was a pretty fast car, and there was a lot of TVRs that were cheap, fairly reliable, and I think there was about 6 or 7 raced. And I hadn't the fastest one. The suspension was okay, but I had a special cylinder head, a special cam, so instead of revving to 5,800, it revved to 7,500. So everything had to be balanced, otherwise it would blow up. Special valves, special everything, special carbs. And it was a pretty fast car. But there was 2 TVRs, I think they had more money than I have, and they were quicker, but I could usually beat them. I went to a race meeting at Heathfield, Ayrshire, and there was a guy I used to race against. He had a Porsche Super 90. And in the practice, he was quicker than I was. I couldn't understand it, so I went and had a look. It was a different driver. And he was under AN Other. Well, in actual fact, it was Jackie Stewart. His brother had been almost killed in a racing accident, so he didn't want his mother to know. So I was going around asking for Mr. AN Other, and they started laughing. You mean Jackie Stewart? It was Jackie, and that's when I got to know Jackie. Well, in the actual race, I managed to beat him by 1 second, I think. The day that at Heathfield, he had never driven the car before, or raced the car before, or raced at all. And he was just tremendous. It was a bit discouraging because there was Jim Clark, who I was convinced going to be world champion. And I thought, we've got another one here, you know, I'm wasting my time trying to race against these guys, they're so good. It was a pleasure to see him when I was celebrating racing and all, had a chat, you know, and he was a great guy. It's a wonderful feeling winning a race. On the other hand, I hated being beaten. But if you'd got every last ounce out of the car that you thought was available, it wasn't quite so bad. But great feeling to win a race. My parents, of course, were dead against it. You know, what do you want to go racing in cars for? My wife wasn't very keen, because in those days it really was terribly dangerous. In fact, when I was racing, there was 2 people killed. One guy right in front of my eyes, he lost control of his Ferrari, and it went through a fence, and the front end dug in and threw him out and then rolled on, you know. You sort of didn't think it would happen to yourself, but it was dangerous, you know. But I thought it was time to stop, 34, with, as I said, a wife and 3 starving kids. I thought I'd better be responsible and stop at home and farm as usual. It was a wonderful opportunity to do club racing and race against Jim Clark, Jackie Stewart and Andrew Cowan. It mightn't happen in 100 years to get 3 guys of that talent racing at the same time in club racing. So that was really a wonderful thing to happen. I love speed, but you know, I'm 88, man. Most people my age are on wheelchairs.